talk about.
Redeem, where you get that t-shirt, girl?
Oh, what?
Where you get that t-shirt?
You see, I got another one right here. I
Girl,
don't think
you
that.
know, you know I be wanting to.
Oh yeah,
I
that's
be
nice.
wanting a couple of them.
That's nice, huh? And look at here. Look,
Very.
look, look. RCCME 1985.
Redeem Chapel CME. Girl, that's all right.
I know. We gonna
That's
have to
all
get you
right.
one, Papa. I'll put it in the clean conscious stove.
Yeah.
Howdy, Papa. How do?
Howdy, sugar. I'm fine.
Well, so Daddy, thank you so much for coming to Clean Conscious Network.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Well, this has been a long time coming for me. Our family history is a subject that's near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, in my life, I remember being a kid and searching our genealogy or asking a little question. I think I even bought a little book from school one time that asks you to fill out who were your parents, who were your grandparents at one of those like really cool book sales events that they do at elementary schools one time. So for as long as I can remember, I have been interested in where I come from. And now that I'm grown and basically retired from primary care, I have a little bit of time on my hands, and I thought there's no better way than to spend some of my time now than to talk to family about who we are and where we're from, and how we got here. So, sir, will you please state your full name?
Ronald Lee Franklin.
Okay, Ronald Lee Franklin. And you are born, now you don't have to give us your whole date of birth if you don't want, but like tell us when you're born and where you're born.
September the 4th, 1949.
Okay, so you're the original September the 4th date of birth.
You got that right.
Okay.
Beyonce is a Johnny come later.
She comes later, okay? But, okay, September 4th, 1949, and where were you born, Dad?
Crockett, Texas.
Crockett, Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Were you born at the house, or were you born in a hospital?
I was born in the hospital.
You and Uncle Sonny,
yeah,
you young folks,
yeah.
you new versions were born at the hospital.
I think Dr. Dorsey was my
Dorsey?
doctor. Yeah.
How about that?
Dorsey.
Okay, sweet. Huh? Dorsey.
Yeah.
Yeah, that name has significance in our family. I didn't realize that. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Dad, you're born in September 1949 to a family residing in Houston County, Texas.
In Houston County, Creth. I think some other family members told you a little bit about Creth, which was across the creek from Tadmore.
Okay, let me tell you something. I just thought it was across the creek. I didn't know across the creek had a name. It's all Tadmore as far as I was concerned. So across the creek is Creth. And when you're born in the hospital, they brought you home to Creth.
Brought me home to Creth. Yeah.
So all those years you took me across the creek to that like dilapidated shack over there.
Okay.
Was that like kind of where the family was in the beginning of your life?
That was the beginning. Yeah.
Really?
Daddy tore down our old house.
Yeah, man.
And now Grandma Etta's house has been torn down. Grandma Etta ain't been.
Okay.
And Aunt Stella lived in the curve. So we were 3 families all there together.
And that was Tom Daniels' land that you all were on.
That was let's see, Grandmoetta, uh, Tom. Yeah, that was my great grandfather.
Yes, that was your
Mhm.
father's grandfather. Tom Daniels is Daddy
Yeah.
Rip's grandfather, Grandma Etta's father.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about Tom Daniels, or rather, it is Tom Daniel. It's
Mhm.
taken a little bit of training for me to cut
Yeah,
that S
yeah.
off. I
I've
didn't know.
I've had that S on all my life,
Dad, this
and
is
it
what I'm
wasn't
saying.
until the reunion
Right.
that some clarity has been brought to the family
My
name.
goodness, Paul
Yeah.
Paul.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? You can go your whole life thinking you know your name.
That's
You know the
right.
family name. And,
That's right.
we
Yeah.
we didn't get that part right
Yeah.
in these modern days, but it's
Yeah.
okay. We're restoring Daniel. So Tom Daniel is in Houston County in around the 1880s, but he's born well before then, and he raises his family there in Houston County. Some kind of way, Tom got 50 acres of land. And I don't know how this man, this is a black man in the Jim Crow South. It's not too long after the Civil War. I'm told that Tom came from out of state and settles in Houston County. And I'm imagining that he met Mary Eliza somewhere along the way. They get married and they create their family there.
Mhm.
But do you have any idea where Tom got the land? How he bought it? Like, what was that about?
No, I don't know, but I know coming out of slavery, land ownership was very important to African Americans.
Oh my gosh,
And,
yes.
you know, they were farmers and they knew how to farm and they wanted land for their families. And, not only was land important for farming and taking care of the family, you also had something that you could use for collateral,
Right, if you needed a bank loan
Yeah,
or
if you
something.
needed, something else. But the mistake that my people made was that they take out $100 loan and put the whole farm
Oh,
up
Lord.
for it.
Oh, Lord.
Whereas they could have surveyed out maybe 10 acres,
Right,
if they had a 50-acre farm.
right.
Survey out 10 acres and put that up. And but if you couldn't pay the $100 back, then
Then they took your land.
you lost the whole caboodle.
And to be clear, at the time, you got to consider the time.
Mhm.
Like, I would hope that today no bank would take someone's 50 acres for $100, right? But at the time, it's Jim Crow South, barely post Civil War,
Exactly.
and you're black,
Mhm.
and there is no protection for you. There's
That's
no
right.
economic
That's
protection.
right.
There's no consumer protection.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of people out here who know that maybe you have minimal education, that you have high farming and agriculture IQ, but maybe you don't have high financial IQ.
Right. Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
that made a lot of formerly enslaved people vulnerable
Exactly.
in the market.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so some way Tom has land, and Tom's land, I have learned, feeds our family.
that was the generation after the owners that bought it.
Okay.
It was the kids who didn't have the same uh, value
Okay.
uh, uh, for the land as the parents did.
Right.
When
The
they
original
bought it.
value
Yeah.
is high. By the time the children inherit the land,
Yeah,
it's low.
it's low.
I mean, and that same nonsense happens today. Like, let me
Yeah.
just talk about it,
Mhm.
because today there are African Americans who purchase homes in neighborhoods, and when our homes receive some valuation, it's suddenly lower than what your neighbor's home might be
Yeah.
valued as,
Yeah,
just because we're black and they're white,
yeah,
which is some nonsense.
Yeah.
But okay, but you're saying, so we purchased the land at a value, and
Yeah.
for whatever reason, the value of the land diminishes over time.
well, it diminishes in the minds of the children.
Exact. Okay.
The land still has value, but not to the children as it did to the parents. That's what I'm saying.
Well,
The people coming out of slavery knew the value of land,
right.
and they wanted to buy land. They wanted to acquire land, and if they didn't instill in the children the value of land, then it was one generation from being sold,
Right.
abandoned.
Right.
Kids
Well, Dad, again.
wouldn't pay the taxes.
Well, yeah. So,
Yeah.
so Dad, though, you made a brilliant point before. You said that people receive the land, and in a generation, it is believed that the land has no value.
Mhm.
For a myriad of reasons. Number one, you think, well, the land is only worth $100 because Dad could only get a loan for $100 for the land, or that
Yeah.
was a collateral. So
Yeah.
we were duped. The
Yeah.
children. That's my point.
Yeah.
They had no idea the
Mhm.
value of the land,
That's
because when you're dealing with the economic conditions of the socioeconomic
Mhm.
and the political conditions of the time, black people were bamboozled into believing that what we had was worthless.
Worthless, yeah.
We thought 50
And,
acres of land, 10 acres of land was worthless. And like I was telling my uncle, I don't even live on a couple of acres,
Mhm.
and the rent is high,
Yeah.
the mortgage is
Yeah.
high. So
Yeah.
I'm imagining my
Yeah.
granddad with 50 acres, holy cow.
Yeah.
That is a lot of land.
Yeah. So, in a lot of cases, in the late 40s and early 50s, with the northern migration,
Yeah.
families had land, and
They had to abandon it.
they abandoned it, heading for
Better.
better living up north.
Well, I mean, talking about that part, we were terrorized off our land across the South, not just in Houston County. And our family has our own story of being
Exactly.
frightened and terrorized out of Houston County. But black families across the South, they weren't just journeying north to see what it was like.
That's right.
There were mobs killing folks, lynching folks, just for having a little
the
something.
oppression was terrible. Yes, the oppression was terrible.
Well, Daddy, let's go back to you. So you're a baby in September 1949.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
are born into a family that dealt with that. So there's Tom with all the land, and Tom's children inherit the land and are on the land. Etta has Carl Lester, and then also has Oscar and Mitty and Ollie, and they are all together on Tom Daniel's land that they inherit. And then Carl Lester raises his children on that land. When he marries Katie Lucille, they have Carl and Barbara and Marva and Charles and Ronald.
Yeah.
And you all are all inheriting Tom Daniel's land. And that land feeds you. So what Uncle Sonny said to me, which it blows my mind every time I hear it, and I've heard it a lot, but it seems it's unfreaking believable to me, Dad, that you can grow crops and not go to the grocery store. That is, I do not get that. I don't understand.
Baby, the only thing I think Mom and Daddy went to the grocery store to buy was flour and flour.
Well, like some sugar?
And sugar.
Yeah.
And sugar. Yeah. Yeah, we grew everything else. Yeah.
That is unbelievable.
Daddy would grow it, Mama would can it. And, she canned corn and peas, and those are the two main vegetables. Oh, and tomatoes, canned tomatoes, and made some of the best tomato preserves.
Okay, bruh. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Dad, I don't
you
even
have never
know.
had it.
No, that's what I'm saying. This is what I'm. Okay,
See,
wait. This is what I'm saying. I don't know the first thing about canning. Nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to can anything. Now I have been the beneficiary of the best pear preserves this side of heaven.
Your mother.
My mother's mother. Mom Marie.
Mom
Marie.
Was she taught your mother?
My
And
Jesus. That is some good eating.
Well, your mother makes good pear preserve.
Yes.
And, we have gotten away from canning, but we freeze peas.
Yes.
And we're going to have to get you involved with that. My wife blanches them and put them in plastic bags.
So wait a minute. I'm over 40, so I have finally risen to the honor of pea freezing. So I too can inherit the agricultural knowledge of the family.
And I pray that I get in shape to grow a nice garden and raise some tomatoes and have Marva make some tomato preserves.
Oh my gosh, I would pay cash money.
Marva's the only one left, I think, that
I would pay cash money for the 99-2000 for these
I
tomato
understand
preserves.
they have a tomato festival in Jacksonville or somewhere, so I might have to go to Jacksonville and buy some tomatoes and
okay,
try
Dad.
to make us some tomato preserves.
Now, see, you and I are doing what we always do. We always drift off the subject.
Tomato preserve, pear preserves, blackberry jelly, plum jelly. We had all of that.
Everything.
Yeah.
You guys, you literally made everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are born into this family. You go home to Creth, which I knew is across the creek, and right there is your father. Aunt Stella's there, Grandma is there, Aunt Mitty is there, and that's where you are.
And Mama and Big Mama.
Mama, oh, that's right. So of course, Mama Dut, Daddy Rip are there, but the Big Mama's there. Mama Dut's mother. So
Yeah.
you are surrounded by grandmothers.
Surrounded
You're
by love.
you're surrounded by grandmas.
By love.
My goodness, and you're the baby of your family.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
You're the baby of your
Yeah.
family, and so I know you were
Yeah.
spoiled.
Yeah.
Not unlike we spoil my nephew. So let's talk about that, Dad. You are in this place where you are surrounded by love on your family's land. Can you explain to me what, like, the first 10 years of your life is like? What are you doing?
Well, I'm getting exposed to farm life, getting exposed to my aunts and my uncles on my mother's side and on Big Mama's side. And I just having fun as I grew up. My oldest brother Carl liked to hunt, and I grew up wanting to go hunting with him, and I guess, well, first of all, we had one good squirrel dog, and that was Grandma Etta's dog, old Spicy. Spicy was a good hunting dog.
Dad, y'all had a hunting dog named Spicy?
Named Spicy.
If I ever have a dog, and I wanted a dog my whole life, I've never had a dog. I will name that dog Spicy. I will.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
And then we got another dog. Got me a dog named Mac.
Okay.
And Spicy trained Mac to tree squirrel. And I'm just a little fella. Lord, we had two horses, old Bob and old Burl. I wanted to ride the horses. I grew up loving to ride horses. And
were you riding in a saddle or bareback? Or?
Well, I started off riding it in the saddle with my dad. He set me in the front. We ride in the front of the saddle.
Let me try to imagine what this is. So you talk about your older brother Carl, whom I'm imagining that you just put on a pedestal. You're born into the family, you're a baby, and he's how many years older than you?
11.
So he's 11 when you're born. You are his baby. Like I'm imagining, like Carl probably took care of you and helped you, and you're running behind him.
Well, when I grew up, he couldn't stand to have me underfoot for a while.
While you were real little. Okay.
Yeah, so,
well, but wait a minute. But your father, at the time that you're born, Daddy Rip is 1913.
Yeah.
And you're 49, so he's 36 when you're born.
Okay. I had never figured it out.
Well, and so I'm imagining you're on the horse with your dad I'm imagining when you get on a horse, I don't know, what are you, 3, 4?
Yeah, two,
Okay.
3.
So your dad, I've been told, Daddy Rip was not like a big hulking guy.
Right.
But he was strong.
Oh yeah.
He was real strong.
Oh yeah.
Daddy Rip had legendary strong handshakes. There are people who talk about shaking his hand today.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But we had cows, and the little bull calves needed to be castrated, and he'd uh, bulldog, red dog, or whatever they call it, those little calves, and sometimes, those steers got to be about 300 or 400 pounds before they got castrated, and he'd red dog those steers, and
I'm imagining when you say red dog, it's like a body slam.
It's a body slam. Yeah,
like whop.
You catch him,
body slam.
Catch him by the ear, catch him in the mouth, turn the neck back, and he automatically falls over to the side.
Oh my gosh.
And you have to keep him there. Well, the guys do it in the rodeo.
This is what I'm saying. I was just going to ask you, did we rodeo? We rodeo for life, but
you
for
put them in
sport?
the pen. It wasn't like riding in the field, roping them and red dogging them. We pin them.
Okay.
And
okay.
Separate the steers from the rest of the herd, and we'd red dog them and brand them.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Oh
Dad.
yeah, Daddy was strong. Now he was very strong.
I'm learning so much more about Daddy Rip. When I'm born in '79, Daddy Rip is 67 years old, right? Mm-hmm. And he's what I say. He's old all my life, right? So I didn't know him when he was young and strong and virile and like doing all of these things for his family. I didn't know. I had no idea he had put in that kind of work and he was that kind of strong.
Oh yeah.
Wow, Dad. Okay, so you're growing up seeing this. You're growing up seeing Carl is hunting. Your daddy, Carl Lester, is like Superman. He's growing food. He's throwing 400-pound animals on the ground.
Yeah.
And you're the baby, seeing these things happening around you. Now, I asked Uncle Sonny if he liked to hunt. He said that he was playing the piano. He wasn't what you would call a hunter. I know he probably read quite a bit.
Sonny is not an outdoorsman.
Well, but he's not that everyone else isn't an intellect, but he's certainly kind of an intellectual guy. And Marva and Barbara are, they're not 11 years older than you, but they're older than you. Are you growing up hanging out with your big sisters?
I'm growing up, and little fella, I don't know, three, maybe 4, 5 years old, and I'd wake up in the night hungry, and one of the phrases that kind of stuck with me is I'd tell them, I want some syrup and bread and rabbit steak.
Oh my God.
And Aunt Marva would get up and fix me a hoe cake. You
What is
ever
a
heard
whole
it?
cake?
You never heard?
No,
You ever
Dad.
heard?
Please tell
You're
me
gonna
what
have
this
to
is.
ask your Aunt Mom.
Okay, I am.
Okay.
That'll be a cliffhanger.
Well,
I'll
now
ask.
let me tell you where the name came from. But what it is dough. Uh, you mix your dough up and put it in a skillet and fry it
Okay.
on both sides.
Okay.
And you add butter and syrup. And
That sounds kind of good, Dad.
You got it. You
Whole
got a
cake.
dynamite meal. But see, the name comes from, and I didn't know it until recently. I saw it on the Today Show.
Okay.
The slaves would clean their holes after work
Okay.
and
Oh, Dad.
bake the dough.
Oh,
Bake
Jesus.
the dough and put the cake on the hole and put it in the fire and cook the bread.
I'm not gonna
So
cry.
that's where the name came from.
I'm not gonna cry,
A whole
but
cake.
that speaks to the ingenuity of our
Oh,
ancestors.
baby.
Oh my God, they literally took what was on like the leftover flour, whatever that's on a hoe, and they made like delicious food and desserts. They literally made something out of nothing.
Have you ever eaten any hot water cornbread?
No, y'all tell me about it. I'm
baby.
kind of a jiffy cornbread
Baby.
girl.
You know, and the hot water cornbread was made when you didn't have the egg and the baking powder
Okay.
and the milk to, to make cornbread. You use water. Water, a little salt, and you fried it, through it.
The cornmeal.
Through the cornmeal and fried it, and it's dynamite.
And it was good. And it was
very good.
Wow.
Very good.
That's a beautiful story, Dad.
Lord, you get you a pot of greens, those flat things that Rain talks about. Yeah.
Yeah, nobody knows anything about me and greens, so we'll just like move past that one a little bit. But let's so you're a baby and your family's taking good care of you. You got a brother that can't stand you a little bit sometimes, but he'll take you hunting sometimes.
Yeah.
And your dad takes you on the horse.
Yeah.
And you all are going around. And your sisters are feeding you hoe cakes in the middle of the night. You were spoiled rotten. I even heard that Aunt Dip got you a puppy. Did Dip get you a puppy when you were young?
I don't know, but I had several puppies. I had bad luck. I had Snoop, who got distempers and died. And I had Midnight. Now that might be who Aunt Dip got me.
Okay.
Midnight. Now that was my dog. That was my dog. I mean, Midnight and I were tight.
Okay.
And
how long was Midnight in your life?
Oh, Midnight wasn't that long. I forget what happened to Midnight. I don't know if other dogs killed him. I don't know if he got hit by a car.
Sorry, Dad.
I don't know what
Sorry you
happened
lost
to
your
Midnight,
dogs,
but Daddy was gonna whip me one time. Midnight grabbed me.
He saved your life. He saved your life.
Saved my behind.
You know what, Dad? Let's talk about discipline in the time. Okay. You know what, Dad? Let's talk about discipline in the time.
Oh,
Okay.
baby.
So actually, that's
strict,
discipline.
strict. Yeah.
So you're surrounded by love, and part of the love is discipline. Now, what some people today might call that love is straight up child abuse. But what I would say is that the people of the time disciplined their kids for the time, and they were doing the best they could to keep their children out of trouble. What was said to me when I was growing up is that if black folks didn't beat their kids, then police would beat the hell out of them and maybe beat the life out of them.
That's the first thing they're going to do is beat you. They'll beat you down.
Right. Well, beat you to death, even some in our family have gone out like that. And so talk to me about the discipline system of the time.
Oh, baby, it was rigid. Especially in the home. I'm trying to think, and at school. To sass, which means talk back.
Talk back,
an older person. Didn't have to be your parents. Didn't have to be your teacher. But to sass an older person, that was just sacrilegious.
Yeah.
And you got your behind toe up.
Right. That was normal. And let me set the stage again. We've gone through this story now with my aunts, Mitty and Ollie, and we've gone through the story of, the Daniel family in Houston County with my Uncle Charles. And what I understand about where you grew up is that you were quite insulated there in Creth and Tadma community. You're surrounded by family. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, it's not like people outside of the community that you don't know and maybe that don't have any interest in you are disciplining you or setting you straight. And it certainly is not like white folks beating you, whooping you growing up. You're talking about folks in the community who knew you, they knew your parents, they knew your aunts, they knew your family. And if you stepped out of line, the community had some correction for you.
The community had the correction, and then you had to go home. and get more correction.
I've heard about the serial whoopings. Like you pass this house, there's a whooping, and you go past this one, there's a whooping. You finally get home, you have to pick your own switch. Which is a special kind of torture when they make you pick your own switch off the tree. Yeah. But talk a little more about that, Dad.
Well, we had an elm tree in the backyard, which was the perfect tree for Mama Dip to get her switches to tan our behinds. And I remember you asking me when you were growing up, did I get any whippings? And I told you every day.
Every day. You said every day you got whoopings.
And Mama Dip would send me to the elm tree and tell me to bring her a switch and not bring a no good switch.
Yeah.
Bring one she could tan my hide.
She needed a high quality whooping instrument. Yes.
Off that album.
Now, and this is funny. I am laughing at this because the grandmother that I had, affectionately known as Mama Dut, who I am named for, I don't think I ever saw her whoop one of my cousins, me. I never witnessed that part. Now, I'm sure I have some older cousins who received the right hand of justice, but She was not doing that
You
to the
all
little.
and Brian got away with murder. With they would have killed us for some of the stuff y'all got away with. I'm telling you, it's something about grandkids.
Well, see, that's what I tell
It's
y'all.
just something
That's
about
what I tell y'all
grandkids.
about
Yeah.
mine, you know, and my sisters. You and Mom are different people now
But
than what
Robin,
you were when we were coming up.
I had a great childhood. I, you know, I wanted to go hunting with my brother, and he didn't want me to go sometime. But I guess about 7 or 8 years old, Mom and Dad had started letting me go hunting by myself, and I'd take that single shot 22, and they tell me, now don't put the shell in the chamber until you get ready to shoot.
I'm sorry.
And
I'm sorry. Wait a minute. We're going to have to pause again right there. How old are you going in the woods alone with a gun?
About 7 or 8 years old.
In the woods alone with a gun?
With my dog.
With your dog?
With my squirrel dog.
With your squirrel dog?
Yeah.
Dad, sheesh.
And that
you're practically born with a gun in your
right
hand.
around the house, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's why all of this gun craziness today, you know, I used to belong to the NRA until I got a call one night. They're gonna take your guns, right? Who's gonna take my gun? Well, they're gonna pass legislation and take your gun. I say, my gun ownership is guaranteed in the Constitution. What are you talking about? Well, you need to take out a membership in the NRA. Click, and I canceled my membership with NRA at that time, and I was only a member because they had a magazine called Hunter, and I like to read the stories in the magazine. But you know, it just seems that they've scared the people about somebody taking their guns, and they're just buying guns like crazy. And,
yeah, Dad, I'll be honest. You are a hunter. You miss my birthday every year. Cause it's opening season. You gotta go to the woods.
Yeah.
And I grew up literally like tripping over the guns in the house, but you never had a straight up arsenal. You know, like the way some of these people are buying up guns is crazy to me. And you were raised with a gun. You know?
Yeah.
Like, and that was normal for the time where you lived. I mean, was it normal for boys and girls to pack guns, or you know, or for the woods, not for school, but like what was the gun culture of the time when you were growing up?
Robin, we had 2 guns.
You had 2 guns.
Wait a minute. In the home.
There are 2 guns in the home. So it's Jim Crow South, black folks in Houston County. All kinds of craziness is going on, you know, politically out there. You know, there are threats. But even your very strong father, he had 2 guns in the house. That's all he felt like he needed for hunting and for protecting his family.
He had a single shot 22 and a single shot 14.
Okay.
And they stayed behind the dining room door. And the kids knew not to mess with them.
Dad, I never messed with your guns.
And you know, you hear about these kids shooting, you know, 8-year-olds and stuff shooting 5-year-olds and 5-year-olds shooting 2. You know, my parents put the fear of God in us about those guns.
Yeah.
They said, don't mess with them, and they meant it.
And if you did, there were consequences.
Severe.
Severe
But,
consequences.
You know, if a snake was in the yard or something and they weren't there, we could get the gun and shoot the snake. But you know, as far as messing with the guns, you know, with another family member, playing with the gun, with another family member, taking them out when visitors came over to play with her. No, that was forbidden.
Well, Dad, okay, so tell me this. Now that we're talking about gun culture in your day, because this is very interesting to me, did you ever feel threatened by another person? Like, did anyone threaten you with a gun?
No.
I'm imagining you went to school with a lot of kids who hunted and had guns, and I mean, were y'all allowed to bring guns to school or no? Okay, so but everybody had a gun, and like you had friends at school. Were there weird kids who were saying, "I'm going to come to school with a gun and shoot"? That wasn't even a thing in your time.
No.
And everybody had a gun.
Right.
Everybody had a gun. You needed a gun for hunting, you know. But at the time, society was just different. This idea of, and you grew up with shoot 'em up movies, right? With the Wild West, and you know, like these movies that like glorified, you know, the cowboy, the tough guy.
But
and y'all still knew the difference between TV and reality.
And real life, yeah. And our principal, Professor Henry.
I'm sorry,
Professor Henry.
Professor Fesser.
No, he was Fesser.
Fesser Henry.
To the community.
Okay, Fesser
He was
Henry.
our principal. Very smart.
Okay.
Very smart. But he was a disciplinarian, and he didn't play. And it wasn't a kid at that school would have ever considered bringing a gun onto that campus.
Right.
Professor Henry let it be known that he was the baddest man. No, I'm saying Professor Henry had a military background.
Yeah.
Smart, brilliant man.
Now, is this the man out of TSU that taught the math and physics at the school that Uncle Sonny was talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
Professor Henry.
Henry Smith.
He's a bad man in more ways than one.
Henry Evelyn Smith.
He had the physics and
he had
the firearm.
He was our principal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And he took care of y'all.
Oh yeah.
You know, a lot of y'all went to college. All y'all in our family went to college.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that I have adequately pointed that out in this podcast series, but Tom Daniel comes to Houston County, and I don't know if he was enslaved, but I imagine he was. I'm not sure that we found him where he was born and like are sure how he came to Texas, but he comes to Texas, and he has children. His daughter Etta is my great grandmother, and Etta has children. Etta's children go to college.
Exactly.
Except
Etta's husband.
Etta's husband
went to college.
Yes. So
Yeah.
Oscar Oscar Houston Wiley is from Lovelady, and he goes to Houston, Texas, and spends some time there. But then he comes back home to Houston County, and I'm imagining he meets Etta, and they get married, and they have their family. But Oscar Houston Wiley went to Wiley College. He graduated from Wiley College.
Yeah.
That Wiley. I don't know if there's a connection there, but it is interesting.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
And he's the Oscar before my big uncle Oscar that I knew, you know, Reverend Wiley. I always thought my uncle Oscar was the first Oscar. Turns out he's named for his dad, Oscar.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And then he has a son, another Reverend Wiley.
Yeah.
And then he has a son he is in ministry in his own way.
Trey.
But Trey is quiet, you know. Now we're not gonna change Trey's name. And Trey is probably somewhere right now. If he ever watches this, he's probably saying, "Be quiet, tell people I'm number 4." But we just found that out though this summer.
Right.
And his baby is the sink. He's 5. He's 5. He's number 5. The little baby. But I think that's wonderful that we have 5 Oscars. Wonderful. But the original Oscar, the O-Dub original, is a college graduate from Houston County, and he is the father of Mitty and Ollie, who go to Prairie View, and so Mitty and Ollie's older brother, Carl Lester, your dad, actually was not given the gift of education. He had to quit school when he was maybe 3rd or 4th grade to work to the family.
Right.
But his work and Tom Daniel's land is what sends Mitty and Ollie to college. That land, the cattle and the agriculture and the work. Yes.
Of their mother.
Yes. Yes.
And what was I going to say? And it showed Rip, Carl Lester, the value of an education.
So that makes a believer out of him, because he provides for his sisters to be able to get their education, and his younger brother Oscar Wiley is also college educated. You know, and they do well. They go to college, they get good jobs, and they're doing well. And then they say, you know, Rip, you took care of us. We're going to help you take care of your kids. So I understand. I mean, I always knew Aunt Mitty loved us and loved you all so much, and Aunt Ollie, but they loved their brother so much. Daddy Rip did a lot for his sisters that I have yet to say here, but the land made it possible. Okay, so we also understand that not only does Carl Lester, your father, raise his family on this land, he grows enough crops not only to feed his family, but to feed the community. He left some behind for people who didn't have as much in the community. And I was telling our family, I never saw a beggar or homeless person in our community, because the community took care of its own when I was growing up. And so Carl Lester, this man is a hero. He's incredible. But he gets his sisters and his younger brother to college, you know, barely removed from slavery, and certainly still in the Jim Crow South. But then they make sure all y'all have the opportunity to go to college, and you did, you know. So, you know, like most of your siblings went to college. You know, I know that.
Well, all of mine did.
All of your siblings went to college. See, I didn't know that. And we haven't talked about my very dear Aunt Doris, who is Carl Lester's daughter, before he met and married my grandmother, Katie Lucille. But Doris Gibson was, she not only did she graduate from Prairie View, she was in the first baccalaureate college, the first baccalaureate nursing program that graduates out of Prairie View. She was in that inaugural, baccalaureate nursing program in Prairie View. And then I also learned she's like the first Black nurse in Lufkin, Texas, when she finishes college from Prairie View. Look at us, dude. Look at us. But again, she gets there because of the land. It is Tom Daniel's land and our family's agriculture, work, and also the love, the community that lifts you up generation after generation, achieving more and more and more. And Dad, that same land got me through Prairie View. Now, I'm not going to cry, but that actually means a lot to me. You worked that same land when I didn't get it. I was a spoiled kid. I thought you were just gone up there and you enjoyed farming, and I didn't get it at the time, but I understand now. Like, yeah, you enjoyed cattle ranching and you enjoyed being up there, up home, but Dad, you knew that work would turn into money that would pay my college tuition, and I finished college with no debt.
Well, baby,
because of the work that you did.
That's why I did it.
I didn't know. I was too stupid to know. I was too stupid to know. I didn't get it.
I looked at our situation. Your mother and my situation financially, with 2 kids coming up to have to educate.
Yeah.
And I saw that we weren't making it.
To be clear, y'all had good jobs. You and Mom have master's level education. You're both leaders at Harris County Hospital District. Good jobs. Like if We Shall Overcome is a picture, it is certainly Ronald and Ruth Franklin who did well. You got educated, you got jobs, but still making it in the city. It's hard to make those ends. Make them ends come together. It's just hard. And then you talk about sending your kid to college.
If you make the ends meet, there's no extra. You know, and it takes extra to educate your children.
Right. Well, I mean, don't get me, look, I'm living this right now where you work, and you're like, wow, I really should be extremely rich right now.
Look like I should be
farther ahead, right? But the kids gotta do swim or dance, and you gotta give over here, and you gotta pay this bill, and then that thing goes out, and so like the city life will take all your money.
Oh yeah.
City life will take all your money.
Yeah.
But we came to the city for more opportunities. I mean, I don't know. I guess you could have taken your college education back to rural Houston County, but there's not a ton of jobs up there.
We have to remember is to be thankful.
Yeah, Dad.
Yeah.
Amen.
Don't ever forget.
Amen.
To be thankful.
When remember.
It could be worse.
Well, Dad, but I guess a lot of the reason I wanted to have these conversations is because I think it's so important to remember. Remember where we came from and understand our own family's history. Right now, there is an effort to rewrite and just flat out whitewash history. And my children will not be ignorant, right? So like I will make sure that my own children at least understand where our family came from and what it took for them to get to where they are. And, sure, my kids get to live their life. They get to be free and, do what they need to do. But they also will have a healthy understanding that they did not get here on their own. We are literally inheritance of Tom Daniel and Mary Eliza Daniel's work.
And Robin, your eldest daughter started work at 15. 15 years old.
Yeah.
She started work.
She's a lifeguard.
She has,
my little honey.
she's gonna have an appreciation for work, and she's a good student.
She is.
And
she is, but she also
I think she's gonna do well.
She's on the right track, but again, she will know, and she now knows that actually Ollie and Mitty were in the fields with Aunt Stella when they were as young as 6.
Well, baby, that was just the way of life.
Well, I know, but we're blessed. To your point, be thankful. We are blessed.
I couldn't, in the cotton field, you had people with long cotton sacks. And I wanted me a long cotton sack. But I got a croaker sack when I don't know what age I went to the field. I guess about 8, 9, and I had my little croaker sack, and I didn't like it. I wanted me a cotton sack. Yeah, that was just the way of life.
Yeah, Dad.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful story, and it pays dividends. I mean, really, you all did the work. You planted the seed, and it grew lots of positivity in our family. I mean, not just even here in this immediate family, but our family has done well. So thank God for that. Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there.
Well, one thing I want to say. You were brought up in a God-fearing family.
Yeah, I was.
See?
In the Christian Methodist Episcopal Church.
That's right.
Redeemed.
That's right.
For real.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.